In today's episode, I catch up with Tom Dade. Tom is a phenomenal young ultramarathon runner from Mornington, Victoria, who has not only completed but won some of the hardest ultramarathons in Australia, like Down Under 135 and the Great Southern Endurance Run 100 miler. And he has also represented Australia in the World Mountain and Trail Running Championships. Tom shares his story about how he got into ultra running and how ultra running makes him feel most alive.
Just pushing my body and my limits. Like I really feel like that's rather most me.
If you enjoy this episode, please share it with a friend and leave a rating on our podcast. Let's get stuck in. Welcome back to the First 42K podcast. Today I have the honour of sitting with Tom Dade. Mate, welcome.
Cheers, thank you. Don't want to go as far as saying honour, but I'll take it.
We had a good run before this. We went out, where was it?
Mount Eliza Quarry.
Mount Eliza Quarry. Stunning. Beautiful place. We did it like a 10K, which is just a walk in the park for Tommy. He actually is coming off a 100K fastest known time effort last week and just said, let's get it done.
Yeah, when you come down to go for a run, I'm not going to say no.
No, so. Exactly, mate. No, just, yeah. Unreal to be chatting with you. And I think that if you're in Victoria, you definitely know and you're an ultra runner, you know the name Tom Dade. You've done some incredible things with your ultra running. And I think back, like, to give people a bit of context of when we met, it was Heart to Heart 2021. And I was running with my mate Codes, and it was in that weird sort of period in Victoria when we had that snap lockdown all the time. Remember, it was the third snap lockdown, and they said you need to go 2 50K days in a row, not the 100K race of what it was meant to be. So it was already interesting. We're all a bit thrown out, and I was like incredibly nervous, but I'm excited. Let's give it a go. Start running, thinking I've trained so hard for this. I've tapered off. I've had this awesome prep. And early on, I remember about 3Ks in, I meet you and we're chatting away. I'm like, oh, I'm sure. You're like, I'm Tom. And I was like, oh, talk to me. How was your training leading into this? You're like, yeah, I did a backyard ultra 2 weeks ago.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. MVP. Yeah. Getting it in while we could with that COVID stuff. Yeah.
Just nuts. So good. So good. So look, we'll talk more about that race and obviously, yeah, the things that I guess follow from that. But you said to me before when we're on our run, in the last 4 years, so you started ultra running in 2019, you've done over 50 races now from, 50 kilometers up to 200 miles.
Yeah. So definitely took off and did quite a few of them.
What is it that you love most about ultra running?
Just pushing my body and my limits. Like I really feel like that's rather most me.
Yeah. It just brings you back to you.
Yeah,
I love that. That's what I often when I say to people, like it's hard to explain to someone else because until you find something that just like sets your heart on fire and it feels like you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. Yeah, people don't understand.
I feel so lucky to actually find.
Yeah,
because I feel like so many people don't.
Yeah,
but to find
so true, and to find out at a young age. Yeah, so unreal. Yeah, so we did that race together, which, as I mentioned, was 2 50K days. I finished an hour behind you each day. Yeah. And I was like, this guy's a machine. You went on to win that race. I think Codes and I still finished around 10th, which was awesome. But I was like, geez, this guy, I'm going to follow him. And he's running from there. The next time I saw you in a race was the year later, and it was at 2 Bays 56. And I remember I ran that race a decent time. I think it came about 15th, but 5 hours, 7 minutes. You came in a good 20 minutes, maybe even half an hour before me. And I remember catching up to you at the end. I don't know if you recall this. You can tell me if you do. And when we were at the end, we're just having just a chat after the race. And I said, Tommy, you don't run much. You don't run with your arms much. You're going to do an upper body session after this.
Oh, yeah.
And 2 hours later, I saw you hitting the pull-ups.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
I was thinking, I wonder if he's going to remember this. But yeah, he just pumped out like a sub 5 hour 56K race, just sending it. And then I'm like, just joking around thinking, Tom Dade is like the closest person I know to David Goggins in terms of someone who just pushes his mind and body relentlessly. And it's very inspiring. And I was like, he would be the sort of guy who would, straight after an ultra, smash out an upper body session. I'm going to ask him, just as a bit of a joke, just ask the question. Sure enough, probably went home, something to eat, shower, straight in the gym. So I saw that a few hours later. I'm like, this guy. Nah, mate, unreal. So you've achieved some incredible things. I referenced there 50 races over the last 4 years or so, which is just unreal. But what would be the biggest lessons you've learned through ultra running? Because I know that's a big question. Yeah, it's a big question, but you've lived, I feel like, several lifetimes in those 4 years just by being out and doing those events. There'd be so many people who I feel could get so much value out of just what you have to share.
Yeah. Yeah, well, as you said, there's a few things that you come out. I mean, I think something I've learned is there's always more. Yeah. Like, I always thought, if I run 50K, then, at least go back to that kind of like a lot of, I think I found with me ultra running was a lot of insecurities and trying to make myself feel good about myself. Mm-hmm. And by doing things that we see as pretty extraordinary, that's one way of doing it, at least in my head. So when I first thought, I'd run 100K, and once I hit 100K, then I'll be happy with myself and everything. And obviously it doesn't happen. You're like, there's always more. There's 100 mile, and then there's 200 mile. And kind of what it's actually taught me is that just keeps going. Yeah. And then there's always going to be someone that does more or whatever. And through that, it sounds actually being happy with, first of all, what you're doing, and happy with actually yourself. And that, hey, this isn't going to make you,
so true.
Happy. So I think it's really taught me that. It's taken me, I think, far too long to actually figure that out. But definitely that's one of the big things. That's
look, honestly, even if that's the only lesson you learned through all this ultra training, I think that's beautiful. Like, that is such a great lesson that, we all need to, like, we can absolutely be striving to achieve these goals, but finding happiness in the journey, and not, okay, I'll be happy when I hit that 100K or that 100 mile. I'll be happy when, proud of myself when I run 200 miles. And I think that that's a huge lesson. It's something that we are always sharing with other people. I know I am, I'm sure you are. I'm sort of talking for you here, but even my mates who run a lot as well, and other coaches out there. I think we live in a society now where everyone's addicted to social media, everyone's addicted to Strava, and it's all about the destination. Yeah. It's just like, I want to get to this race, I want to do this thing. And they see people like us out there, maybe not me so much, but you're out there, nearly every week achieving these goals, and they don't understand that you love the journey so much, and that's why you can do it.
Yes. And that's what I've just really found in the past few months where I haven't raced as much, and I've discovered it's like I just love the journey and something, and that's the important part.
So true. How's it been navigating? I mean, see, to me, I would feel like watching you've raced a fair bit still over the last few months, because I might do 2 or 3 races a year, like A races, and then a few other fun little runs as well. But I'm talking to someone who's racing, or just say 15, 20 times a year, about. So it's very different. How have you found that period now? Obviously it's been challenging at times, but you've also found, like you said, in that time when you haven't been racing as much, the ability to reflect on that you love it so much. But how's it been, that period?
I've actually really enjoyed it. Like, it's because it's given me an itch to want to do it, like to just to have the urge. So there's a big difference between, at least for me, of feeling the need to have to do an event, like an addict would. I mean, like an addict would with a drug, like they need the drug, versus I actually want to do it. And I've actually felt the want, since I started, like since the first time since I started. For me, it felt like I need to do this race. I need to just keep racing every weekend, every second weekend.
So even when your body was telling you, no, I need a rest, it was just that like mindset saying, no, I need to race.
Yeah, very much. Yeah. And I have been fortunate in that my body's held up pretty well. Largely due to the weights and stuff like that. But and just realizing that I want to do it over the past few months has been really good, much healthier way, I think, of going about it. So I've appreciated that.
Yeah, that's great. And I think as well, though, like, because you fit a lot into these past 4 years, but one thing you were talking to me about before on the run is even before ultra running, I had a bit of like a mountaineering background. So a lot of time on legs, a lot of conditioning.
Yeah.
It hasn't been years. Right? Yeah. It hasn't just been the last 4 years.
Yeah, that's something a lot of people don't see is the years before. Like you really would go back to, I would say, when I was like 14, after just getting over anorexia and coming out of hospital, I got really into bodybuilding and the weights, and I was training pretty, again, obsessively crazy. Like I'd do, like a leg day for me would be like 10 supersets of squats with leg extensions. So I'd like another 10 supersets of deadlifts with hamstring curls, and then another 10 supersets of calf raises with like standing and seat, like crazy 2-hour constantly bodybuilding workouts that I did, and then like boxing as well. And if I did everything, it was always like obsessively and a lot. So pretty much from ages like 14, I've been training at some sport, at something, and very a lot, put it that way.
Yeah.
To where I'm at now. And the discipline's changed a bit, but it's all kind of translated.
Of course, yeah. It does carry across. I think even, you know, one thing that I share with people a lot is respect the marathon. The marathon's a beast. Even running 42 kilometers, it can be lost sometimes when you talk to people like yourself doing 200-mile races and run down under and some of these events. But a marathon is so far and so big, and we need to respect it. But it is that build up of years and years. And whilst it was different for me, like I was able to run a marathon pretty quickly, but it's because, again, football base, a lot of strength training, all of that. So I wanted to bring awareness to your build up to ultra running. You were doing a lot of other things. So you were, was it 18 when you took on the Kokoda Trail as well?
Yes, yeah, it was.
How was that experience? I believe that was sort of what like got you into all this.
That was what, really changed my life. Really, I straight from school, I went straight to like full-time work, and just was kind of caught. I was still just like depressed and kind of unhappy, but I was working and doing everything that I was told was right. I was saving heaps of money and everything, but then got to a point where I was like I wanted to do Kokoda, and then I ended up quitting my job, saved up quite a bit of money, and then did Kokoda, but that's when things really changed, because I did like the 5-day. Again, I had to do like the hardest one I could find. It was like over 5 days, and so it was like 12 to 13 hours a day of hiking 20 plus kilo pack for someone that had never really hiked since like outdoor at high school. So it kicked my ass, and I was struggling, but it made me like realize how much I've been leaving like on the table, and how much I hadn't, how much more was left, because I thought I was done after day one, but somehow I got through.
Yeah.
And, I still did triathlon, so I thought I was pretty fit, but like just, it was a whole nother thing. And I remember getting back, I remember just driving back from Melbourne Airport, driving home. I didn't know what it was. And I remember saying this to my dad. I didn't know what it was, but like something had changed in like my brain. I couldn't explain what it was. It's a different feeling. And then from then I wanted to find experiences like that. And then it kind of discovered the 7 summits and mountaineering. And then I did, within like a year, again, obsessive, needed to do everything. I went to Russia, South America, and Africa to climb up the highest mountains in the continents, and did that, and just then the rest is kind of history from there.
Wow, incredible. Yeah, it's like that. Goggins always talks about that 40% rule. He got there, and then he realized, no, you could go so much further. It sounds to me like that's what you found.
100%. Yeah, and that is such a powerful thing to discover.
So true.
Yeah,
it's unreal. Mate, one thing that I think is so extraordinary is you've represented Australia twice now, so congratulations on that. That's huge. Over in Thailand and in Austria for the World Trail and Mountain Championships. Is that right? Yeah. That was a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah,
to get out.
A bit of a mouthful.
Mate, how was that experience for you?
Pretty amazing. Like, to think that you never dreamed of ever consider. There wasn't even consideration I'd represent Australia in anything, in any sport, because I just thought that was for like elite athletes, or like, best of the best, and never. And to be honest, still don't really put myself there. So it's like, wow. But just like just it's such a different ball game of what you're used to. You know, like if you're ultra running or stuff like that, you wouldn't think you'd be weighing your rain jacket, and just like things that make it really official, doing drug tests and stuff like that. But just to have that opportunity to go to another country to represent Australia, I was like, yeah, it's still, to be honest, even though it's still hasn't really, like, I still don't think I've fully still taken it in.
Yeah. Definitely.
But and especially, it's only the first and second time it's been done. Like Athletics Australia and World Athletics have got on board and put mountain trail running together to create these championships. So it's early on, and it's really awesome to see for the sport as well. So to be part of that is pretty cool too.
Yeah, it was cool. I was following on the live stream and just in awe of all of you guys and the Australian team. And obviously there was different events as well. So you were doing the long course, 80 kilometers. How many other Australians were competing in that?
So in the long course?
Yeah.
But there was 5 males. 5 males. And I think 5 females too.
Yeah.
And in the end there, yeah.
Unreal. And you were first of the Australians to complete?
Yeah. That was
that a surprise?
Yeah, I was last year, I was last. Yeah. Last chance. So I was just hoping, didn't really matter too much, but I was hoping not to be last again.
Yeah.
And so I was shocked that kind of happened. And then even finishing that top half of the field after last year pretty much being, again, bottom quarter of the field. So,
well, what do you think was different, like comparing Austria to Thailand? Like obviously completely different place, different conditions in terms of humidity, heat, that sort of thing. But what other factors went in? Did you prepare differently for this year compared to last year?
This has kind of been a big transition as me as a runner, because I got into ultra running very much as the same, like pushing my limits, and very much out of like the insecurities and mental health issues and anorexia and all that type of stuff. And as I've kind of worked through them over the years and everything, I've gotten to the point where running has become a bit more of like, I want to get better at running, not necessarily. So after Thailand, more, although it still wasn't actually ideal because down in Ultraman, I was doing less races and actually properly training, proper structured training a bit more. So there was that.
So you mean like different sessions, some easy runs?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, not just run heaps and do everything or as much as you can. And when you felt, so it was more structured and had some like some mentors and stuff that kind of were recommending, don't do that race or don't. That I was listening to a bit more. That and just also the terrain, because it was more technical than Thailand, so less runnable, like which suits me more, and then just like more high climbs. So I think the combination of those two helped. And also my nutrition is a bit better. I was taking a bit more gels and drinking more versus Thailand.
This comes with time and experience. You have to make the mistakes to then to learn more.
Like I remember like, at Thailand, everyone there, they're really a lot of them are professional athletes of the other countries, and then Australia, they're just more organised. And there's me having a box of like chocolate chip Safeway cookies, and that's my nutrition for the race, and looking at everyone that has gels and everything, I'm like, I should learn from this and probably try a bit more about things, because I just remember trying to fill my face with food, trying to keep up with it, and I was like, this isn't, if you want to run the fast, this is
I think it must be a surreal feeling though to know that you are versing professionals, like that's what they do. And you're out there, like you're doing your absolute best week in, week out. You're still working. It's a completely different setup, and you've made it to be in the position of going head to head.
It's pretty. It's a good feeling. And I think actually too, it gives me like an extra motivator. It's like you feel like you have a chip on your shoulder, like an extra like, I'm here. Like they've got more of that, and you maybe have less. Like makes gives you motivation. Your ego loves it, so it will feed into it.
But absolutely fair enough. It's like it's their job. They've got sponsors. It's completely different setup. So well done. I think one question that I always ask every one of our runners, and every one of our podcast guests, and it may have been that you moved straight into an ultra before a marathon. But did you do a marathon before you did an ultra?
No.
Straight into an ultra?
Yeah, I went straight into it.
So what was your first ultra?
It was Surf Coast Century 2000.
Oh, the 100K.
Yeah.
You went straight into 100K.
Yeah, I wasn't, definitely, I wouldn't recommend doing it how I got into it. Because I was mentioning the mountaineering and stuff, I legit just came off a mountain. It was in July, and I kind of spent all my money, so I couldn't do much traveling or anything. But I wanted something that was close to a summer day at home. And I found like, oh, I could do a marathon, saw marathons, but then somehow I found out an ultra marathon, and I was like, well, if people are running 100K, I can't run 42K because like that, it needs to be more impressive. So
Yeah.
that was in July. Found Surf Coast Centre was in September. Wow. I signed up for Surf Coast Centre in September. When I signed up, the first I'd run was 10K. I thought I should probably run a 20K before doing. So I think I ran 220s leading up to it. I think like my biggest week was like a 50K week.
Yeah.
And then, did it in September. So before my furthest was like a 21K home run. So it was,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, even in that ultra alone, there'd be so many lessons.
Oh man, I learned so much. The funniest bit is I thought I could hold that 21K pace for the whole 100. So, yeah, I just had a normal backpack, and I had
Probably like just a backpack.
Yeah, just pretty standard. But I did have a strap at the front.
Yeah.
And then I thought that I wouldn't need water. I thought, like it said, you had to have mandatory waters. I had no mandatory stuff in there, but I had like just a flask, like a screw-on flask that was like zipped up in the back of my backpack, so I thought I wouldn't need it. And so yeah, I learned a lot in that 100K.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
no, unreal. What's next for you now? Obviously, you've just done not long ago. That was only June. Was the Austria World Mountain Trail Champs? You've as you said, had this sort of lighter period where lighter in Tom Dade's world, which is great with these last 9 weeks. What is to come for you this year?
Yeah. So now Worlds has kind of come up. I kind of want to prioritize that. So it happens every second year.
Yeah.
So my kind of focus is doing races that are going to help me get qualified back on the team again.
Yeah.
And so that's the 50 to 100K. More mountainous ones is preferred, but obviously at the moment showing, I know because I know a lot of the guys are looking for me, like the guys that pick the team are kind of looking at more competitive, faster races. So that's why I do Surf Coast again, because it's competitive, fast race. In September. But then kind of the races I pick from there are going to be along those kind of lines.
Yeah, smart. So really focusing on fast, which going fast for 50K, 100K, even up to 100 miles.
Yeah, I will do. I think I'm looking at maybe doing Ultra Trail Kosciuszko maybe in December.
Absolutely. I think it's such a combination of endurance and speed. I don't want to say I will never be at the top with those 100-mile runners, but they are fast. Like I just think even at like Coburg 24 and the pace that Nick Bamford, I know he's a friend of yours, is running next to me out. I'm like, the guys winning these races, it's just another level in terms of speed. And it's I think that when you're there and you know that you have the opportunity to represent Australia and you have these lifelong friends that come with it and the community and the honor and pride, like that's great that you found that. You clearly love it. And if I were in your shoes, I'd be focusing on those events as well around that distance. I think it's a smart approach. One thing I did look up and was just in awe of, I know I mentioned the 50 races, but if anyone wants to check them out, thomasdade.com. You've got a website?
Yeah.
So you do your race reports?
Yeah.
Have you always been doing that from the start?
Well, I've slacked off from it the past year or so, just with other priorities and stuff. But when I first started, I did a race report for every race, I think, the first few. Yeah. That's
great, because I think, obviously, it's funny when, like, immediately after the race, often, this is what I find anyway, I don't know, tell me if you're the same. Immediately after the race, sometimes I think that wasn't that fun. Like that took me, it wasn't that fun. Like immediately after, you're hurting, and then literally the next day, like, let's start up again. And so I think the ability to then be able to capture that and write it all out is a great thing that you've been able to do.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Many similar. There's only been a few that wasn't horrible after.
Yeah.
And they're usually the ones where I've actually had more fun. That's why. But yeah, it's definitely like that.
Yeah. Awesome, mate. Well, if people want to get in touch with you, if people want to follow you, where can they connect with you?
It's a good question. I have an Instagram.
Instagram?
Yeah. And it's Thomas the Tank Dade.
Thomas the Tank Dade.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and now I'm on Facebook thing too.
You are a tank. I love it. I think it's a great name. I have one more question before we wrap it up. Because I feel like, and I know I mentioned this at the start, people would really want to learn from you. I feel like I've learned so much from not just this conversation, but even us going for a run before this and having a chat out there. Do you ever have ambition? Clearly, talking to you, you love your running. Would you ever see yourself getting into coaching or something like that?
Yeah, as I was saying before, kind of like it's something I would want to get into. It's just having kind of the self-belief and confidence that I actually will be useful to someone to coach. Like, so that if I can get that.
I think like just if you reflect on your own running and what you've achieved, you know that self-belief comes from work and from mentors and from putting yourself in that space and from having the right people who've walked that path and give you that support. I'm not telling you to become a coach. I just know how much you love running, and I feel like it could be something that you love as well, because I feel like you've also walked this path that people would look up to you. I look up to you when it comes to particularly the mountain stuff as well. It's incredible, and I know that I reached out to you before the 200 miler because I hadn't done that, that distance. So there's so many people who could learn from you, and I think that like anything, we all have self-doubts, but we know that the self-doubts get smaller and smaller when we work at it, and self-belief grows and grows. And I just think if you're so passionate about it, could be something to consider in years to come.
No, you're very true. You're putting it's pretty much applying the same thing to that. You're right. I can't really say much. You're right. Anything would be an excuse. So
no, it's been a pleasure having you on for the chat. Thanks so much, and keep up the great work with your running.
That's good. Good to catch up for a run and have a chat.
Thanks, Tommy. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Tom. He's inspiring to have accomplished so much with running at such a young age, but his humility is what I find most impressive. Tom shows us all what is possible when we love the process and we go all in. We were pushed for time when we recorded this episode, so I debated whether to release it at all. I felt like I didn't give Tom enough time to go deeper into his story, so you, our listeners, can take away more valuable lessons. I decided to release it though because I want to strive for consistency, not perfection. And I look forward to having Tom back on the podcast one day soon when we can chat in a lot more depth about how he has overcome adversity and his relentless pursuit to be the best that he can be. We hope that you love the podcast, and if you did, please leave a review and share it with others. Did you know that you can train with us at First 42K for as little as $9.95 per week? If you're looking to fall in love with running and achieve your first 5K, 10K, half marathon or marathon, unlock your 1 week free trial at first42k.com.au. I'd like to thank our partners at HGG Performance for providing the podcast space. HGG Performance manufactures strength and rehabilitation equipment, which is hugely beneficial for runners looking to improve performance and prevent injury. Use the code FIRST42K for 10% off their products. Until next time, live happy and run strong.